Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SavvyCast. This is Jamie, and I'm so glad you're here today, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast. I'm going to take about 20 minutes to address a question that I get asked frequently, and that is, how did Family Savvy start, and how do you make money? I get asked that a lot for some reason. So I thought that I would address that. So I'm just going to start at the very beginning. And if you followed my account for any length of time, you probably have heard this, how I started. But if you didn't know, when I was, okay, so this was 23 years ago. So let me do my math, 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay, I was 35 years old. Goodness, guys, that seems like so long ago. 35 years old. A dear friend and I were leading a small group for young women. It was called Housewife 101. My husband suggested that I start a website because this was probably our fourth or fifth time to lead a similar small group on housekeeping, home-related things. So he said, hey, you need to start a website, put everything there, and even after you're gone, all of that will be there for your girls, grandchildren, or anyone who wants to access the recipes or all the things. So we started it, and we had somebody helping us in the beginning, just sort of put it together, do all the technical things. And I was not really watching traffic. I didn't even do anything but just throw things up there. And when I go back and look at the older posts, I cringe. They're cringe worthy. Now, the recipes may be fine, but the aesthetics, I mean, in the beginning, oh my goodness, guys, I had so much to learn back then. Nonetheless, we early on happened to hit a viral post. It was a viral foot soak recipe that was on Facebook, but I didn't know it was viral. And I had a Q&A that I was routinely posting on Family Savvy, the blog, with my doctor, my dermatologist. Every week, she would do a contributing post on just a dermatological topic. So I saw this post on the viral Listerine vinegar foot soak. I sent it to Dr. Joe and said, hey, let's do a post on this. She wrote like a response to it. She analyzed the ingredients in the foot soak, and I posted it, shared it, and it went viral. And I believe what happened is the fact that it was viral on Facebook made people do Google searches for Listerine vinegar foot soak, those terms. And I believe I must have been one of the first, if not the first people to do a blog post on a viral topic. So that kicked me into the Google sphere, where my blog started having Google juice. And I just use that term to describe searchability, and you show up. And I started showing up on the front or the top of the viral post, and that just kicked me into a great space. And then as I continued to post, and I was very consistent, I put recipes, I would put cleaning tips, hacks, the same things I do today. I would post those fairly consistently, and along the over the years, I had some more viral posts, which just continued to kick the blog into a space where it would pull up in searches, in organic searches. If people were searching like a specific recipe or whatever, Family Savvy would pop up, which made it grow even more. So it was, a lot of it was happenstance. So the second post of Family Savvy that went viral, it was my strawberry brownies. That post probably has done more to propel my blog into a great place than any other. Strawberry brownies probably has gone viral about 6 or 7 different times. And when a post goes viral, I mean, it is amazing. You can just watch. And back in those days, I think all I had were Google ads. So I really did not benefit financially at the time from that, because I was just maybe doing Google AdSense. And I don't even know if I made anything back then. It was just helping build what today is a brand that I can monetize, which I will get to that in just a second. So that happened. And then I continued with the blog and eventually had a number of followers. I reached a level where I could be supported by, it used to be called Ad Thrive. Now it is Raptive. It is an umbrella. It's a platform for people with websites, and they will take your website and they will, you don't do Google ads. All of the ads come from that site. They give you tools to help you create better content, and they are invested in your success as a website. So, therefore, they do everything they can to help you do better, be better. So, when I became, which that was probably 10 years ago, when I became Ad Thrive, now Raptive supported, then I would make earnings on when people went to my page. And that is pretty consistent with anyone who has a website. Their biggest source of income is a website, is when people go to their site, especially if they're supported by a platform that has ads that when people click on and they even look at the ad, you get an earning. So that is the number one way. If you ever look at people, whether you call them an influencer or a blogger or whatever, the blog or the website, that's king. Followers on TikTok, followers on Instagram. I mean, that is great. That's a whole nother area of influence and income from a blog, although they are connected. But as far as sheer monetization, a blog and eyes and traffic on your blog are paramount. And that is where, at this point in Family Savvy, that is where the highest earnings of Family Savvy come from, is the blog. And that is why, if you are on Instagram and you will see, you used to see a lot of people, even myself included, I would do a reel or do a post and I would put the recipe in the caption on Instagram. If you've noticed lately, people who are sharing things on Instagram, they might put, and I still put some recipes in the caption where people do not have to leave Instagram. It's right there. But you will see that most social media influencers are saying comment link, comment this or that for the recipe. And then you click on the link or you make that comment and it will take you to their website, because Instagram does not, it's not their, you don't own it. It's not your platform. And the only way you can get the benefit of having all of those followers is to use a link on Instagram to take people to your website. Instagram just doesn't really pay you. It used to pay you for reels, but they just really don't. So that is the tool that bloggers are using now, to use Instagram to get people to the blog. Another wonderful thing about a blog that is helpful in earnings is you have an email list. When you have subscribers, you have a list of people who have entrusted you with their email. If you ever decide to do a course or something, or write a book, sell a cookbook, you have however many subscribers you have, those can be your first customers. I have some ebooks. A lot of my sales have come from my subscribers, because those are people who willingly gave you their email. They're typically invested in your content. They appreciate your content and they say, I want to know every time you post. So they'll sign up and they get alerted every time a new post drops. So that's all the back end of the blogging. And I will now tell how, in the most recent years, the blogging has become just one arm of the brand. So I went from just being a blogger to now, for lack of a better term, I'm a brand, because I have the blog and then I have social media, which Pinterest, but there's not as much activity, dialogue between followers on Pinterest, but I do have a Pinterest that directs a lot of people to the blog. And I'm very active on Instagram. So I want to quickly just share how someone with a blog like me uses Instagram for a source of income. I will say this, I laugh, and Zane does too, when we talk about a source of income. I have and this is anyone who has a blog and who does this type of work, your expenses are so high. If you have one employee or seven or eight, you have payroll. You have to pay for hosting. And I'm just going to be straight up. My hosting, Zane walked in, oh goodness, it was this week. He said, "What is this $4,300 charge on this credit card," which was my business credit card? I said, "That's my hosting." Hosting is very expensive, but hosting is what supports your website. If you have a cheap host and your site crashes, it goes down, it's horrible. So because as I was growing, I wanted a great user experience for people who read my blog or visited my site. And as I was growing, it was taking more and more to support it without technical glitches. I chose a very good host. I use Kinsta, and in the beginning, Kinsta did not cost that much. It would probably be, just because of my Google traffic, it would probably be close to that much on a lot of other platforms, because the more you grow, the more you're going to have to pay, because that host site is dedicating time, people, services to protect your site, to protect it from not just spam, but hacking and those type of things. So immediately when I told Zane it was Kinsta, he says, "Oh, that's perfectly fine. That is very fine." And I will actually, because there may be some of you who are kicking the tires at starting a blog, starting whatever on social media, but I will link to all of the services that I mentioned that I use, and you can check them out if that's something that you're thinking about. As my blog grew, I decided to get more active on social media. Everyone, of course, is on Facebook. It seems like the world is on Facebook. So I was on Facebook, but Instagram became a place where people, and still is, where people go who they want direct communication, they want more interaction, they want more day to day. A website, it seems as if it's out there, it doesn't seem as personal. It's almost like an encyclopedia, or you just Google. Like, I will be in the grocery and I'll Google my own recipes. "Hey Siri, family savvy ham," to pull up my honey baked ham, or I'll pull up recipes. But when other people do that, whether they're visiting my site or a website, they're not going typically to ask the blogger a question or to have an interaction. They're looking for a specific recipe or piece of content. If you want to move from a blogger to another area in the space of building a brand, you're going to have to be active on social media, because there are many people who crave that more intense, dynamic, for lack of a better word, relationship with you. And I will say, I'm a very relational person. I could not love my Instagram account or my followers. And I know there may be people out there that I've had two or three negative comments, or people that I've had to block. By and large, I've had a great experience with my followers. I feel like I have so many friends that we will DM. We've never met. I'll run into people that they'll say, "Oh my goodness, I follow you on Instagram." And we immediately trade addresses. I put them in my cell phone, and then we're friends. It's for a relational person who never meets a stranger. It's a fun and rewarding and it's just great. So in social media, the way earnings work, as I said, Instagram does not pay you anything unless they maybe will pay for a reel here and there. You can buy ads. I don't buy Instagram ads. The way Instagram can help an influencer make money is brand recognition. As you grow in your followers, you start attracting the attention of brands who maybe want to collaborate. I will say this, and I will say this because I know it from experience, and I believe it's something that anyone who wants to start a social media account, I think you need to understand this. Followers are great, but engagement is king. Now, this is what I mean. Early on when I started, Instagram, there were certain places that you could and it was legit and it was okay back then. You could buy followers. You could pay for these little campaigns that this company or whatever that, the group would send out and you could get more followers. I never did that because I had someone helping me at the time. She is still with me today who always said, "Do not buy followers. Do not buy followers. Don't do anything." And I was tempted. There were several times I said, "Finley, what about this? This would bump us to this next level." And she always said, "Don't do that because you want your brand to be authentic and you want the growth to be real." I speak from experience. It was a long and still it can be a slow process as you're building your followers, but you want to go through the process. It's just like you want to go through the 9 months to prepare to deliver a healthy baby. There are no shortcuts. I don't believe there are shortcuts to a strong, authentic, engaged social media following. And it took me to get from when my Finley, who I could not have done it without her, she helped me grow. I think I was maybe at 3,000 followers when she came on board. We just consistently posted, consistently put out content. And now, thanks to her and just being consistent, being loyal to my followers, we have hit a really good milestone. We hit 100,000. And why does that matter? It matters just in that there are landmarks that you hit. 10K is a big one. 10,000 followers, that almost seems like the first milestone because brands start looking at you and they'll reach out and want to collaborate. I will say I started getting outreach from brands even before 10,000 and it was fun. It was great, but basically that those kind of collaborations are free product. You'll get free product to try, and if you like it, you can share it just in your content. As you grow in your followers, and if you have high engagement, you can let me just preface by saying this. You can have 150,000 followers but brands are going to look at and Missouri or whoever owns Meta, I can't pronounce his name, but he even released something recently that said engagement trumps followers every single time. So engagement means if you post something and you have 100,000 followers and you post something, engagement is the likes, the comments, the DMs, the saves and the shares. How much excitement, engagement and interaction does your content create? So that is one of the most important things to brands. And I think that is why even when I was, early on in 10, 20,000, I started getting brand offers and I was a little surprised at some of them. My Finley told me, she says, "Jamie, it's because your engagement is good. And that shows that you have a loyal following, an engaged following, which is important to brands." Okay, so I'm going to fast forward, try to cut this off pretty quickly. I didn't mean to go this long, guys. Sorry. So now where I am at what I think I'm at maybe 130-ish today, in addition to my blog, which does generate from views on the website, my Instagram has become a really nice source of income because I am getting so many more brands that are reaching out and there's sort of a standard when brands reach out to you and you have X number. I think 100,000 is a benchmark. And then I think the next one may be even closer to 200,000. It's not like every 25,000. The brands that reach out are much more generous. You have much more bargaining room. They want to do more than one campaign. A lot of them want to build a relationship, which is wonderful. And I will just say, this is the place that I've always wanted to attain. I've always wanted to have relationships with brands that I loved. that I would use or buy their product or service myself and to share with my followers and to get paid for it because my whole entire and from the inception of Family Savvy to today, I have and willingly and happily I've shared everything for free. And that's what you have to do in the beginning. You're sharing your content for free, and if you don't wanna do it to help people, you're never gonna be happy being an influencer. When you start getting paid for it, it's icing on the cake because I've always loved what I've done with Family Savvy, the sharing and the giving away, always loved it. Did it for free and probably would have kept doing it for free just because it's fun. It keeps me from just running up and down shopping, spending money. It's work that I enjoy. But when you can turn what you love into something that not only helps others, but you get paid for it, that is a blessing, and it's something I never take lightly, which leads me to just how you, as an influencer on social media, get paid. So brands reach out, and I will say I'm very particular about my brands, and this is very common. You have on board, you have meetings. Like I am an AG1 ambassador, and I had a meeting with them. I had questions. We had a discussion, lots of literature that I read through, lots of free product for me to try before I decided, yes, I think I like this. It's legit. And that's the way I pursue a relationship with brands. I say, send me the product to try. I'm not going to promise, but if I like it, I will be happy to have a relationship with you. If I don't, then we won't, we'll just forget it. But I'm not going to ever share anything just to make money. So I'm always going to be, my followers are my first most important element of what I do. Brands reach out, and I will say it's quite a ride and it's a little bit unpredictable. It really started kicking in last year, pretty surprising brands that I didn't reach out to because at this point I was not reaching out to brands. Whereas now we reach out to brands that I'm interested in, as well as respond to brands that reach out. It's just sort of an ongoing thing. Get a letter out of the blue from Walmart, and that was quite the ride. It was great. They paid, that was probably my first big one. And almost every large brand has a marketing manager or a media group or a public relations firm that does all of the back and forth. You're not talking with a Walmart rep. Whoever is their mediator will talk to the influencer, and then they'll go back to the brand and they do all of that. And I do not communicate. My people do all of that. They've actually, my Finley, and I have another person who they handle my brand correspondence for good reason. And I would recommend this to anyone. When you get to a certain point, let someone else do that for you, especially if you're someone who just gives things away. I would jump in correspondence with brands that would email me, and they would tag my team, and I would respond, "Oh yes, I love your brand, and I will throw this in." And they finally said, "You don't need to. You need to let us work with brands because it can be hard to sell yourself, to market yourself. So it's good to let someone else do it who knows what they're doing." So from Walmart to QVC to Nambe, some of the brands that I already love their products, and I would tag them in my social media early on, and I would tag them where other people could go to their website, look at the products. A lot of this was before LTK. So the tagging also got eyes from those brands on my account. And then as I grew, those accounts would reach out. So there's just a lot that transpires that over time as an influencer can get you income by sharing on your platform things that you love and would use. So I would say of all, without being specific, it is by no means a lot of money. It requires consistent work with brands. It's hard work because you get requirements. They want this, they tell you what they want. You've sort of got to go back and forth and agree to what you're going to share. Some brands give you a lot of latitude. Some are very, very picky. You might have to reshoot content, which costs you money if you've got someone filming. So there are just a lot of nuances that make it's not. Now, there are influencers out there who get paid huge. I don't get paid huge, huge, huge. I get paid well, in my opinion, at the point where I think I'm just very much industry standard. But to make a lot of money that will offset your expenses, it's number one, hard work. And number two, something I don't know that I'm at the point yet where it's just like I can sit back and, not do anything and let money come in because it's not that easy. So I hope that's sort of given clarity onto where it started, how it has transpired, where it is today, for whatever reason, whether you're just curious or you want to take something that you love and start building a brand. Oh, let me just quickly say brand. So when you have a brand, you just have several fingers of what you do. So I have the blog, and then I have the Instagram, and then the Pinterest and the Facebook, and then the podcast. So all of those elements that you might consider building or starting as you grow become your brand. Some brands, your brand, like Family Savvy now is a brand, and a company might say, you know what? We like her style of podcasting. So they may reach out and say, we would like to sponsor your podcast. But most of them are going to see your social media and they're going to want you to share there because that's how most brands find you is your social media. So I hope that this made sense. I hope it was helpful, enjoyable, whatever. You can always ask questions. I'm an open book. And if you have questions, just email me, jamie@familysavvy.com. And I hope if you're not following me on Instagram, you will. I will say there's some big things coming down the pipe that I'm not at liberty to say, but fall of 2025, there will be another nice, fun, hopefully helpful to you all, my women friends, aspect of Family Savvy that will be rolling out. So stay tuned for that. But I appreciate all of you so much. I never take you for granted. And I always hope that if you follow, watch, listen, and on any of my platforms, I hope that you always leave a little more blessed and a little more savvy with something that you can use to better you or your family. So appreciate you all. And until next time, you have a fabulous rest of your day. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the SavvyCast. If you'll take the time to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, that would mean so much. As always, thank you for listening and have a blessed day.